Today is Tuesday, August 8th. What to know about severe weather impacting millions of Americans and some travel plans, and how weather has caused thousands of teenagers from around the world to evacuate a big international event. Also, we'll explain the special election in Ohio today that will be closely watched around the country. Plus, who is hoping to shut down the city of LA as multiple strikes continue? All about a new digital token from PayPal. And if you ever wanted to be a monster hunter, you now have a chance. Those stories and more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Today, people from New York to Georgia are cleaning up from powerful storms. They brought heavy rain, strong winds, hail, lightning, and thunder to millions of Americans yesterday. And sadly, 2 people died in the storm. Homes were damaged by winds and falling trees. Dozens of people had to be rescued from floodwaters. And at last check, there are still hundreds of thousands of people without power. Because of these storms, airports could be especially busy today, since yesterday there were thousands of flight cancellations. There's also a risk of even more storms in parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, though those ones are not expected to be as widespread. By the way, while the East Coast deals with severe thunderstorms, the southern U.S. is still dealing with a prolonged, dangerous heat wave with more record highs expected throughout the week. And then there's Alaska, where record-breaking floodwaters destroyed at least 2 buildings and damaged others in the capital city of Juneau. Video on social media shows a home collapsing into a river. Those floods happened because of melting glaciers around the state, but the floodwaters have since started to go down. A special election in Ohio today is getting a lot of attention around the country. Voters there will decide whether to make it tougher to change the state constitution. Right now, Ohio voters can add new amendments with a simple majority. And if this measure passes, new amendments would need 60%. So why is this election getting so much nationwide attention? Well, because people in Ohio are going to vote on a new constitutional amendment in November that would guarantee abortion rights. And if today's measure passes, that means abortion rights advocates will need more support to get protections in the state constitution. Ohio is the only state with abortion access on the ballot this year. But last year, ballot measures protecting abortion rights were approved in 3 states, while more than 20 decided to ban or restrict abortions. Of course, this is expected to be a big issue next year as well in the general elections. You may have seen videos going around online that show a massive brawl in Montgomery, Alabama. Well, here's what we know about it so far. It apparently all started when a group of boaters docked their pontoon boat in a space reserved for the city's riverboat. And there was a riverboat full of people waiting to dock. So a crew member tried to move the pontoon boat himself by untying it. In the footage posted online, you can see a group of men run up to the dock worker, argue with him, then punches start flying. And things escalated quickly as several onlookers joined in, including one person who threw himself into the water and swam across the river just to fight. At one point in the video, you can see someone swinging chairs at both men and women, and some people actually jumped or were pushed into the river. The video has sparked a lot of emotion online, especially since the dock worker is black and the boaters are white. But at this point, police haven't said anything about a motive. The video does show officers putting people in handcuffs. Police say they have some people detained pending charges, and there are now 4 active arrest warrants. Even more are expected to be issued as the investigation continues. As you know, COVID-19 is not as widespread as it once was, but the virus is still mutating. And there's a new variant that's become widespread here in the U.S. It's called EG 5.1. Although one biology professor nicknamed it Eris, so now that's the name trending on social media. No matter what you call it, the CDC is drawing attention to it now because some parts of the country have seen an uptick in COVID-19 hospitalizations, and it's become even more prevalent overseas, like in the UK and parts of Asia. It's a descendant of the Omicron variant, but there's no evidence to suggest it makes people any more sick. Like the original, the most common symptoms are runny nose, sneezing, headache, sore throat, and fatigue. And the CDC says the current COVID-19 vaccines do seem to work against it, though for a lot of Americans, that protection is starting to wane. And another vaccine push is expected to roll out in the fall. All right, we have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that can replace your multivitamin and probiotic and really support whole body health. I had heard about AG1 before, but I can tell you that after actually trying it and making it part of my everyday, it has lived up to the hype. I drink AG1 in the morning, usually as I'm getting my toddler breakfast or starting my workday, before I've eaten anything else. And I notice I really do reach for my tea or coffee less often, or at least I forget about it for a while, because drinking AG1 makes me feel energized and ready to take on the day. I also appreciate that it's easy to put in a to-go cup on especially busy days, and that it's just this one simple drinkable habit. 1 scoop of AG1 mixed with water, that's it. It's one of the easiest habits I've started since it makes me feel good. If you are looking for a simpler, effective investment for your health, try AG1. And get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/newsworthy. That's drinkag1.com/newsworthy. Check it out. Rough weather has really damaged the World Scout Jamboree for tens of thousands of teenagers from around the world. Every 4 years, scouting associations from all over get together in a different country. And this year, scouts from 158 countries were all gathered at a campsite in southwestern South Korea. But hundreds of them left over the last few days because of a dangerous heat wave. And now there's a typhoon that's expected to make landfall in South Korea Thursday morning with pouring rains and winds of up to 95 miles an hour. So the rest of the scouts have been evacuating this morning. They're now going to hotels, government training centers, education facilities, and other sites in and around the capital city of Seoul. Hundreds of American scouts were among those who were moved because of the heat over the weekend. They got sent to a major U.S. military base in South Korea, which could end up accommodating more scouts from other countries this week, too. Once all the scouts are evacuated, organizers say they'll never use the campsite for any other event in the future. But officials say they're trying to arrange new cultural events and activities for the scouts before they go home, like a possible K-pop concert, so the whole trip won't be a total wash. Publishing giant Simon & Schuster has a new owner. Paramount sold the company to a private investment firm, KKR, for more than $1.6 billion. Remember, this comes after Penguin Random House tried to acquire Simon & Schuster, but the U.S. Justice Department blocked that merger last year over antitrust concerns, saying it would have given the combined company too much control over how much authors are paid, among other issues. But at least some experts say they don't think they'll have the same concerns this time around since KKR does not own any other book publishers. It will still have to go through the regulatory process, though. Assuming the deal does close after that, KKR says Simon & Schuster will still operate as a standalone company with the same executives. And that means it will continue to be the publishing home of high-profile authors like Stephen King, Bob Woodward, Ernest Hemingway, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. There's a new digital token on the crypto market, and this one is from PayPal, making it the first stablecoin to come from a large financial company. It's called PayPal USD, and the company says it's fully backed by American dollar deposits, short-term treasuries, and similar cash equivalents. Each token can be bought or sold on PayPal's app or website for $1 each. The PayPal token can be redeemed for US dollars at any time and can also be used to buy and sell the other cryptocurrencies PayPal offers on its platform. It's rolling out to American customers now and will be available on the PayPal-owned Venmo app soon. The City of Angels seems to be turning into the city of strikes. Today, more than 11,000 Los Angeles City employees will walk off the job, which could grind city operations to a halt for 24 hours. The workers, including trash truck operators, airport shuttle drivers, and mechanics, are demanding a better contract. And today, they'll be picketing outside the Los Angeles International Airport and City Hall. The union representing nearly 100,000 county and city workers across Southern California says the goal is to shut down LA. The president of that union says, quote, "Workers are just fed up. They've reached a breaking point." LA's mayor, Karen Bass, says the city is committed to getting workers a fair contract, acknowledging that they're vital to the local economy. The union plans to sit down with city administrators to negotiate next week. Meanwhile, thousands of cooks, maids, dishwashers, servers, bellmen, and front desk agents at nearly 50 LA area hotels are still hitting the picket lines, demanding better pay and benefits. And now the union representing them says there's been a pattern of violent incidents on the picket lines, with workers and their supporters being attacked during protests by hotel guests, employees, and security guards. But the California Hotel and Lodging Association says it's the protesters being aggressive, doing things like blaring sirens and alarms at odd hours, kicking over barricades, and more. Either way, those protests continue, too, along with, of course, the strikes involving Hollywood actors and writers. Negotiators with the Writers Guild of America met with major studio representatives for the first time in months over the weekend, But no agreement was reached, and each side is still blaming the other for being unreasonable. And with that, most production in Hollywood is still on hold. If you ever wanted to be a monster hunter, here's your chance. The Loch Ness Centre in Scotland is planning the largest search for the Loch Ness Monster since the 1970s. The organization says modern technology like drones and thermal images will be able to search for the mythical beast in ways that have never been done before. But they need volunteers, too. It was actually 1933 when a hotel manager reported spotting a water beast in the loch. And ever since, there's been a worldwide fascination with finding the elusive monster, with hundreds of theories, explanations, and sightings reported over the years. But so far, no definitive proof of what could be living there. The new search will be held in about 3 weeks. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, today's episode is supported by another podcast called The Jordan Harbinger Show. It's won a bunch of podcast awards for good reason. I know Jordan personally, and he is a great interviewer. He goes in depth with all types of fascinating guests, like the conversation he had with an undercover FBI agent who builds relationships with potential terrorists, or another episode that tells the story of a cinematographer who discovered a lost city in the jungle and made one of the most important archaeological finds of the century. He's also had more well-known names on the show, from Matthew McConaughey and Ludacris to LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman and more. Jordan has a gift for getting his guests to reveal never-been-heard-before stories and insights so we can all learn from their unique superpowers. He also has other helpful types of episodes like how to quit your job the right way. So go check it out. Search The Jordan Harbinger Show. That's Harbinger, H-A-R-B as in boy, I-N as in Nancy, G-E-R. Wherever you listen to podcasts, add it to your playlist for After the Newsworthy when you need something to listen to that's longer than 10 minutes. We hope you love it. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, what is the name of the world's hottest chili pepper? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email or find the link in today's episode notes. As for last week's trivia question, what is August's birthstone? The answer is, well, there's actually 3 of them. In 2016, August joined June and December as one of the 3 months with 3 separate gemstones. The August ones are peridot, sardonyx, and spinel. For a long time, peridot was August's primary gemstone. It's a yellow-green color and is associated with prosperity and good fortune. Then there's spinel. It comes in a wide array of colors like red, pink, orange, purple, blue, and green. And what it symbolizes depends on the color, too. For example, red spinel is associated with passion and devotion. And finally, we have sardonyx. It's a combination of sard and onyx, which together form a reddish-brown or orange stone with bands of white or black. That one is associated with courage and happiness. Well, thank you so much for listening today and for sharing the show. We'll be back with another news roundup for you tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.